Talking about the bipolar affective disorders, that is basically the word affective stands for the mood disorders of a person. So we're talking about the two extremities, that is the mood elation and the mood depression on the other hand, in the same person on different time periods. And obviously, when we talk about the mood depression, it's basically the kind of depression and the depressive mode of a person in which his daily life and the everyday work is even affected of that individual, and even the people surrounding that particular individual are affected due to that depressive episode. And following that depressive episode, the person sometimes had the euthymia, and after that, he may be suffering from a phase of hypermania. Euthymia is basically a phase in which his mood is stabilized, and after that, he may suffer from a phase of hypermania or mania, and hypomania are other terminologies that can be used for a manic episode, depending upon the severity of the symptoms of the mania. So talking about a patient who comes to you, who walks in an OPD, outpatient department, and you're working as a clinician or a psychiatrist over there, and you see the symptoms of depression in that person. Obviously, you won't be seeing the symptoms of depression and mania alongside. So the history is very important. You ask the person about the complete history. The family history is again important. The past history of that person is important. The drug history, the medical and the surgical histories are again very important, due to the fact that all of these things were part of the risk factors. The genetic predisposition we've already discussed, and we have discussed the importance of a lot of medical conditions in which the person may suffer from this bipolar affective disorder. Even a lot of medications themselves, if the person has been suffering from a chronic disease, he may show the signs and symptoms of the bipolar affective disorder. So the risk factors have to be evaluated when you are focusing on the history, and a complete history is again the mainstay of the diagnosis. A parallel history, of course, is very important. You take this parallel history from the friends and the close relatives or the family. So this is basically how you diagnose cases in the psychiatry department. And this affective disorder is again quite commonly seen, and its prevalence is underrated because of its misdiagnosis. Sometimes the clinician, due to the lack of knowledge, misdiagnose the case as an isolated depression or as an isolated mania. But working as a clinician, you should keep in your mind that the unipolar disorders are quite uncommon, and usually the bipolar disorders are more common and they have a higher prevalence rate than the unipolar disorders. So in this section, we'll focus on the clinical features. The clinical features of a manic episode and the clinical features of a depressive episode as well. And then we'll focus on the mania and hypomania. Now, these terminologies are quite arbitrary and they are subjective to the clinician taking the history or making the diagnosis. He may say that the person is suffering from hypomania, and depends upon the severity of the signs and symptoms, of course. Then we have the mixed affective states in which the person have depression and mania in mixed kind of a condition. Then the neuropsychological dysfunctions is another terminology that is quite commonly used. And how do you define it? How do you diagnose it? You should have the knowledge to that as well. So the clinical features that you see in a state of mania are an elated mood condition. Occasionally, the predominant irritability is again very important. And then obviously there is an increased energy. So this increased energy, then you have an elated mood. This is the mainstay over here when we talk about the clinical features of a person who is in a phase of mania or hypomania. There is decreased need for sleep. So due to that hyperactivity, the person won't go to sleep, and he'll commonly give you the history that his sleep cycle is disturbed and he cannot have that complete sleep that he usually took before these signs and symptoms. The delusions of grandiosity. So usually the patient present in a delusional state. So delusions are basically defined as the fixed thoughts or the firm beliefs of a person that are usually not in accordance to the reality. He'll basically have the delusion of grandiosity, of an elated condition. Then we'll have the psychotic symptoms as well on the other hand. The excessive optimism is observed in a lot of conditions because he is in a state of mania. So, as we saw that in a state of depression, in a depressive episode, the person will have a pessimistic view of everything. So, in a state of mania, that's the opposite to that of the depression. The person will have an optimistic view of everything. That is far from reality. So the pressure of speech will be observed in his due to the fact that the person is going to have the flight of thoughts. He won't be able to concentrate. His concentration span is very short, and so he'll have flight of thoughts. And due to these flight of thoughts, he'll have that pressure of speech in his way of talking when you're taking that history. There'll be a loss of social inhibitions as well. So a lot of customs that are quite inhibited in a particular society, he won't feel that social inhibitions, and he'll be out of that because he's in a state of grandiosity. So it's again very important to emphasize on this fact. There'll be an inability to sustain attention, and there will be a state of extravagance and aggression. So sometimes taking history of a manic person is very difficult because you can basically get him into that phase of aggression. So you have to be very careful while taking the history of such a person. Talking about a phase of hypomania, there will be a mild elation of mood or irritability. There will be increased energy, but of course not to that much level. And there will be no psychotic symptoms noticed. The duration of at least several days on the end. So the features of mania, but not at the same level, and all of these symptoms, sign and symptoms that we have observed in a phase of mania, they will be of a lesser severity in a case of hypomania. So there will be the mixed affective states, for example, the emotional lability, tears or anger at the same level, and the depressive effects are more enduring when we're talking about a mixed state, and there will be decreased sleep requirement of that person, and there will be an increased risk of suicide in such individuals. Talking about the neuropsychological dysfunctions, there will be a neuropsychological impairment in such a person, even when he is well, and difficulties with memory and executive functions are noted down in such neuropsychological dysfunctions as well. There will be severity associated with the more severe bipolar disorders as well. So the history is again very important for the evaluation. When you get a case of the neuropsychological dysfunction, you basically diagnose this case on the basis of this bipolarity history that he'll be given. And the parallel history, of course, is again very important. The parallel history will be taken from the family and from the friends. So it's again very important to take that parallel history as well. So in this section, basically, we focused on the sign and symptoms of the person. When he comes up to you in an OPD, how are you going to diagnose that this is a case of bipolar affective disorder? So that is the end of the section. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.